Close your eyes for just a moment, not to escape the world, but to return to the source from which your world is made. Everything you see around you, the walls, the streets, the faces, the roles you play, has risen from a single, silent ground, your own consciousness. And within that consciousness lies a power so quiet, so unassuming, that most pass it by, mistaking it for mere fantasy. Yet it is this very faculty, imagination, not as daydream, but as the living organ of creation, that holds the key to every career, every station, every form of success you long to embody. You do not attract your career from without. You awaken it from within. And the moment you realize that your outer world is but the echo of your inner assumption, everything changes. Not by effort, but by identity. You have been taught to strive, to climb, to prove yourself worthy of the position you desire. But consider this. What if the proof is not in the doing, but in the being? What if the office you occupy, the title you carry, the respect you command, are not rewards for future labor, but reflections of a state you have already entered in imagination? The world responds not to what you want, but to what you believe yourself to be. And belief is not a mental nod toward a distant hope. It is the quiet certainty that accompanies the feeling of the wish fulfilled. When you imagine yourself already living the life of the successful architect, the respected physician, the accomplished writer, not as a fantasy to be indulged, but as a state to be inhabited, you begin to move from the rim of your desire to its very center. From there, you no longer seek success. You radiate it. Notice how easily the mind reverts to the evidence of the senses. But I am still unknown, it whispers. My resume is thin. My name carries no weight. And yet, who taught you to trust the mirror more than the vision? The mirror shows only the past crystallized, the form your assumptions have already taken. But your imagination shows the future unformed, the state you may now assume if you dare to dwell there. Do not ask how it will happen. The how is the concern of the world, not of consciousness. Your only task is to persist in the feeling of the career already yours. Not once, not in a burst of enthusiasm, but in the quiet moments before sleep, in the stillness of your morning, in the pause between breaths. Return again and again to the assumption that you are already the one you wish to be. Not that you will be, but that you are. This subtle shift from I want to be to I am is the turning point. For desire looks outward, assumption dwells within. You may say, but I have tried imagining and nothing changed. Ask yourself, did you imagine as one who already possesses, or as one who begs for possession? There is a world of difference between seeing yourself at the podium as the honored speaker, feeling the weight of the microphone in your hand, hearing the hush of the audience, sensing the quiet confidence in your chest, and merely picturing it as a scene you hope to reach someday. The first is assumption. The second is longing. Longing keeps you outside. Assumption places you within. And once within, all things begin to rearrange themselves to reflect your inner state. Not because you forced them, but because reality is loyal to consciousness. It cannot betray the self-concept you hold in the quiet of your being. So begin tonight, not with action, but with rest. Lie down in the dark and imagine yourself already living the life of fulfilled career. Feel the texture of the desk beneath your palms, the tone of your voice in a meeting, the ease with which decisions flow from you. Do not rush. Let the scene unfold as naturally as a memory. And when you feel the truth of it, not as a wish, but as a fact, linger there. Fall asleep in that state. For in sleep, the assumption takes root in the subconscious, and from there, it rises into your days like the sun. You will not need to announce your new station. It will announce itself through every gesture, every word, every opportunity that appears not by chance, but by congruence. You are not becoming. You are remembering who you already are. As the days unfold, you may find yourself slipping, returning almost unconsciously to the old inner conversations that once defined your limits. I'm still just an assistant. No one sees my work. I must earn this. These whispers are not truths. They are relics of a former state, echoes of an identity you have outgrown in imagination, but not yet in habit. And here lies the quiet discipline of manifestation. Not in grand declarations, but in the gentle, persistent return to your chosen assumption, again and again, especially when the world seems to contradict it. For the world you see is always the trailing edge of your inner state. It lags behind. It cannot keep pace with the speed of your imagination when you dwell there with conviction. Observe your inner speech throughout the day. Notice the tone you use when you speak to yourself about your work, your worth, your place in the professional world. Do you address yourself as one who is already successful, already capable, already at home in the role you desire? Or do you speak as one waiting for permission, waiting for validation, waiting for some external sign to say, now you may step forward? But permission is not granted by others. It is claimed in the silent chamber of your own awareness. And the moment you speak to yourself from the state of fulfillment, you align your entire being with that reality. You need not convince the world. You need only be loyal to the version of yourself that already lives the life you seek. There will be moments when doubt rises like fog. It may come in the form of a rejection, a delay, a sideways glance in a meeting. In such moments, do not argue with the outer world. Do not try to fix the reflection. Instead, turn inward and reaffirm your state. Ask yourself, if I were already the successful entrepreneur, how would I interpret this moment? If I were already the respected leader, how would I carry myself now? Then, from that vantage, respond, not from fear, but from faith. Faith is not blind hope. It is the quiet certainty of the assumed fact. It is the willingness to live as though the promise is already fulfilled, even while the evidence is still catching up. And in that living, you create the conditions for the outer to conform to the inner. Do not mistake persistence for repetition of desire. You are not to keep wanting the same thing over and over. That only deepens lack. True persistence is the steady occupancy of the fulfilled state. It is returning, without strain, to the feeling of it is done. You may do this in small ways. Before answering an email, feel the calm assurance of one whose work is valued. Before entering a room, carry the quiet dignity of one whose presence commands respect. These are not acts of pretense. They are affirmations of identity. And with each return, the assumption grows stronger, more natural, more inseparable from who you are. You begin to move through your day, not as someone seeking success, but as someone who has already arrived, and simply allows the world to catch up. It is in this daily fidelity to your inner state that transformation occurs, not in a flash, but in a deepening. Like a stone worn smooth by water, your self-concept is shaped by the current of your assumptions. And if you remain loyal, if you refuse to entertain narratives that contradict your chosen identity, the outer world must, in time, mirror that loyalty. Not because you demanded it, but because consciousness and its expression are one. You cannot long dwell in the state of success without eventually walking in its garments. The only danger lies in wavering, in allowing the mood of the moment to dictate your inner speech. But if you guard your assumption as you would a sacred flame, feeding it with attention, shielding it from doubt, letting it light your inner world, then nothing can keep your career from blossoming in its own time, in its own form, precisely as your imagination has conceived it. And so, as evening comes again, return to your quiet place. Lie down, breathe, and once more slip into the state of your desire fulfilled. Not as a visitor, but as a native. Not as a dreamer, but as one remembering home. Let the scenes unfold, not forced, not strained, but with the ease of truth recalled. Feel the weight of your accomplishments, not as future trophies, but as present facts. And as you drift into sleep, carry that feeling with you, deep into the subconscious, where all creation begins. For it is there, in that silent loom, that your career is already being woven. Now, having returned again and again to the state of your career fulfilled, not as a distant ideal, but as a present reality, you may find a stillness beginning to settle within you. It is the stillness that follows true assumption, the quiet confidence that no longer needs to prove, to push, or to persuade. For you have moved beyond the realm of wanting into the deeper country of being. And in this place, effort gives way to ease, striving dissolves into sovereignty, and the sense of separation between you and your desire vanishes altogether. You are no longer reaching for success. You are resting in it. This is the hour of embodiment, not of doing more, but of being so thoroughly identified with your fulfilled state that it breathes through you without thought. Do not misunderstand this rest as passivity. It is not indifference. It is the most active form of creation, the creation that flows from identity rather than ambition. When you know yourself as the accomplished artist, the trusted advisor, the visionary leader, not in fantasy, but in your core sense of self, your actions arise not from lack, but from fullness. You speak, you write, you meet, you create, not to become someone, but as the natural expression of who you already are. And in that expression, opportunities appear not as rewards for labor, but as echoes of your inner truth. Doors open, not because you knocked with desperation, but because your presence alone signals that you belong on the other side. There may come a moment, perhaps in the middle of an ordinary day, when you realize, without fanfare, that the life you once imagined is now simply your life. Not perfect, not static, but undeniably yours. The title, the influence, the work that bears your signature. It is no longer something you chase, but something you inhabit. And this realization brings not triumph, but peace. For you understand, at last, that you never had to build this success from the outside in. You only had to awaken to the truth of it from the inside out. The career you now live was always latent within your consciousness, waiting not for your effort, but for your recognition. In this stabilized identity, even setbacks lose their sting. A missed opportunity, a critical word, a temporary delay, none of these can shake you because your foundation is no longer in circumstance, but in assumption. You know who you are, and that knowledge is unshakable. You may adjust your methods, refine your craft, learn new skills, but you do not question your right to be where you are. You move through the world with a quiet authority that needs no announcement, because it emanates from the certainty of your inner state, and others feel it. They may not name it, but they sense that you carry a kind of groundedness, a self-possession that cannot be faked. That is the fragrance of true success, the scent of a soul living from fulfillment. So let go now of the need to monitor the outer world for proof. Let it unfold as it will. Your work is finished, not in the sense that you cease to act, but in the deeper sense that you have already accepted the end as present. You have already said, "It is done," in the only place it matters, within. And from that acceptance, all things flow. You need not cling to the vision, for it has become your nature. You need not repeat affirmations, for your being speaks them constantly in its very posture. You are no longer manifesting your career. You are your career, in its essence, in its dignity, in its quiet truth. As you close your eyes tonight, do not seek to imagine anything new. Simply rest in the state you have already claimed. Let the scenes of your fulfilled life arise not as something to be visualized, but as memories of a reality already lived. Feel the ease of having arrived. Feel the gratitude that comes not from getting, but from being. And as sleep draws near, surrender, not to uncertainty, but to the deep knowing that all is well, because you are already who you set out to be. No more striving, no more waiting. Only the soft hum of identity, fully assumed, fully lived, fully at peace. And in that peace, the world, obedient to consciousness, arranges itself to reflect what you have always been.